Hey guys, making this Marinette video for you. And I think this is the majority of questions I get is how to treat this area on a patient. This area is quite hard when you have someone with a lot of jowliness, loose skin, a lot of people get confused to people that are very overweight that have a lot of flatness. Here, if you have a lot of volume loss in your anterior malar area, your zygoma is here and then your apex is here. So over time, when sun damage hits here, you lose that bone, right? And then everything starts to fall down your face. So for when you have a lot of Marinette lines, you have this like heavy fat pad that sits here. There's no way you're gonna take filler and fill here. Sorry, my nails look terrible. This is just life of an injector. I got them done a week ago and they already are terrible again. It's a waste of money. So when you try to fill this area, if someone has a huge fat pad here and you try to just add filler, it's not going to go well. So I'm showing you on a younger patient. So ideally the patient's over 45, 50, 55, and they have a lot of submental fat here. You're just telling them best thing, it might be a facelift, lower facelift. You're going to have the come to Jesus talk with them. If they're younger or thinner and you think you can really tack it back, I would go basically with a cannula. I just posted it at the preauricular area. So temple, preauricular, adding filler here really helps. And then also doing like an 8-point lift. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then kind of go, I'll show you the technique that I'm going. Anatomically, your considerations are you have your internal carotid system. So V1, V2, V3. So it's internal, it comes out through the skull. And then your external is your carotid system here. And then you have your facial artery, boom, 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 boom. And then so you have to be really careful when you're in this area. Your inferior labial artery is here. Your mental artery is here. So you have to be very, very careful. So watch my video. I'll try to talk through it and then comment any questions. Okay guys, so showing you this little anatomy of the ligaments around the face. So right there you have the mandibular cutaneous ligament. That's what people forget all the time when they're trying to add filler there. If that is really, really, really strong, which it will as you get older, you're going to have a really tough time adding filler. So first thing I do is, well, for her, I was doing tear troughs too. So that's why you see that little blanch on the cheek. Sometimes I forget to say that in videos and then people are like, what the hell? So I'm showing you, I'm lifting first, and the way I lift, you can use lift or Voluma or Radius. I prefer Radius, obviously, especially in someone with a heavier cheek. For her, I'm doing a submalar technique. So submalar just means below the cheek, but you see I'm still on actual bone. You can start back or lateral zygoma. That will help. You can see how I'm taking my finger, kind of pulling back. That's to help just to lift the cheek. I always try to be very cautious with using the term lift for a patient, because patients will equate that to a facelift. So I try not to say that. Filler fills, and in turn, when you fill something, you can lift something. Like when you fill a landfill, what happens? There's lifting, right? You have lifting of those hills. But you can see I'm just kind of tacking back and adding volume where there's volume loss. So before doing any Marinette lines, prepare them to do an 8-point lift. So lateral zygoma, apex, submalar, piriform aperture, and then here I am on a ramus. You always have to add, I tell people Marinette lines are like the decoration of the house. So it's like a couch or an end table or curtains on the windows. That's what Marinette and tear trough and lip filler is. Before adding a couch to your house, you have to build your house first. So building your house is building, obviously, your couch, or building your framework, which is the 8-point lift. So the 8-point lift is the framework of your face house. Super, super important. So I will now add to the Marinette line. Let me show you. So you can see on her, she doesn't have a lot, but she has a pretty heavy cheek. So I've lifted it by doing the 8-point lift. And then I show the patient, for her, this is the biggest thing. And this is why I chose this patient. You should always tox first, meaning you should add in the DAO and Mentalus and do a Nefertiti neck lift. Nefertiti neck lift. The reason why is because if you add filler, in the actual marionette groove or the marionette line or that mandibular ligament, cutaneous ligament, it's just gonna pull down, right? So for her, I'm telling, she actually has the vaccine against Botox, so she can't get it. So the first injection point I'm gonna do is right underneath that mandibular cutaneous ligament. It's right on the jawline. It's also the predel sulcus. So you can see my fingers on the chin, and then it's on the intercostal notch there, and I just squeeze and you can see that little butt crack. So you could see I actually covered it with my shoulder, but my first injection point with my HA here, I'm using Belotero Balance. Come to Jesus Talk, not the best filler of choice. I would do Versa, Ultra, Ultra Plus, Lift, Voluma, you get it, any HA that's pretty strong and cohesive. The reason why I'm using Belotero Balance is because I'm giving this to her for free. So, and it's smooth. So in this area, I'm only going to use Belotero Balance, or something really thin, like a Restylane Classic. So you can see I bent the needle. You could do it with a cap on or just with, Pearson. And then I'm going really superficial because what anatomical consideration do I have there is her mental artery and her inferior labial artery. So super, super important. So you can see how I'm pulling with my thumb. I'm pulling it against and I'm making it really taut. That's my secret. That's going to help to lay the product a little bit easier. And then I'm literally just doing linear threads. I get pretty close to that oral contour on the side, and I'm going really superficial. So you can imagine as something that has a really thick marionette groove or thick marionette lines, this is not going to do shit for you. This is a worthless video. That is where you're going to tell the patient hey, there's no way I'm going to be able to add a lot of filler there. You can see the down turning of her mouth, and I'm going to show you guys a before and after photo just for you to see. Oh, you see that blood on her other side of her mouth. Oh my gosh. That down turning is not going to get significantly better because I can't tox that area. So all I'm trying to do is add those columns, add that filler that help to give that stabilization to her mouth. So I basically am just layering this thin filler. So I wouldn't do, for this area, I just do Belotero Balance and Restylane Classic. A refine might work as well, but you have to be really careful. Versa, I've tried in this area. It does not work at all. So I basically do these linear threads. I cross hatch the area. Don't have your patient do this. I was rushing to make you guys a video. So let me show you the before and after, just a side by side. So the left side is the one that's completed. Obviously, you can see it's higher. And then you can see the right side's lower. So you can see what a difference adding that filler in the cheek makes for the downturning of the mouth. So let me know any questions.